It's 2:47 in the morning. Your father wakes up gripping his calf. The muscle has locked itself into a fist. He can't straighten his leg. He can't call out, not because he doesn't want to, but because the pain has taken the air out of his lungs for a second. This isn't the first time. It's not even the 5th time this month. By morning, he'll call it just a cramp. He'll rub it out, make coffee, and move on. You'll hear about it in passing, if you hear about it at all. Here's what nobody tells him. That cramp wasn't random. His body was trying to tell him something, and it's been trying for months. I'm Dr. Alex John, and this is the Aging Reality Check. Tonight we're talking about the mineral most aging bodies are quietly running out of, and why the muscle cramp waking your father up at 3 a.m. is one of the clearest early warning signals the human body sends. It's cheap to fix, it's almost never diagnosed early, and by the time most families take it seriously, the cramp has already been joined by fatigue, heart palpitations, and a fall risk nobody connected to a mineral deficiency. This is not a story about a cramp. This is a story about what the cramp is standing in for. Here's what we're covering. First, I'll expose the myth that nighttime leg cramps are just part of getting older, and explain the actual biological mechanism happening inside the muscle. Second, I'll give you the numbers, how common this actually is, and what happens when it goes unaddressed for years instead of weeks. Third, a structural fix you can put in place this week at home without a prescription. Then I'll take on the objection I hear constantly, but his doctor already checked his blood. And I'll close with what I tell every family who sits across from me thinking a cramp is nothing. Let's get into it. The myth is simple. Cramps are just aging. It's the most common thing I hear in my practice, and it's the most dangerous kind of myth, the kind that's half true. Yes, cramp frequency does increase with age. That part is real. But increases with age is not the same as caused by age. Age is the setting, it's not the trigger. And when families treat the setting as the cause, they stop looking for the actual trigger, which means the actual problem keeps compounding, quietly, for years. So what is actually happening inside that calf muscle at 2:47 a.m.? Muscle contraction and relaxation is an electrical event before it's ever a physical one. Every time a muscle fiber contracts, it's because a nerve signal told it to. And every time that fiber lets go and relaxes again, it's because a specific mineral steps in and switches the signal off. That mineral is magnesium. Here's the plain English version. Calcium tells a muscle fiber to contract. Magnesium tells it to stop. Think of calcium as the gas pedal and magnesium as the brake pedal. If you've got plenty of gas and not enough brake, the muscle fires, and it doesn't get the stop now signal it needs to release. The fiber locks. That lock is the cramp. As we age, several things happen at once that push this ratio out of balance. Kidney function gradually declines, which changes how efficiently magnesium is retained versus flushed out. Many common medications, diuretics for blood pressure, certain acid reflux drugs, some long-term prescriptions for type 2 diabetes, increase magnesium loss through urine. And dietary intake tends to drop, not because older men are eating badly on purpose, but because appetite naturally decreases, meal portions shrink, and the foods richest in magnesium, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, whole grains, are often the first things to disappear from a smaller plate. Add in the fact that many older men have spent decades eating a meat and starch-heavy diet with fewer greens by habit, and the magnesium gap often starts wider than it does for women of the same age. Put those things together, reduced retention, medication-driven loss, and reduced intake, and you have a slow, invisible drain. Nobody feels a mineral level drop the way they feel a fever or a broken bone. It doesn't announce itself. It erodes quietly for months, sometimes years, until the muscle simply can't maintain its own off switch anymore. And that's when the cramp shows up. Not as the problem, as the messenger. Here's a rhetorical one-liner worth sitting with. The body doesn't cramp for no reason. It cramps when it runs out of ways to warn you quietly. Because here's what's easy to miss. The calf cramp at 3 a.m. is rarely the first sign. It's usually the loudest one. Before that, there were smaller signals that got waved off. Restless legs at bedtime, dismissed as just being tired. Mild eyelid twitching, dismissed as stress. Trouble sleeping through the night, dismissed as getting older. Low-level fatigue that coffee doesn't quite fix. Each one, on its own, looks like nothing. Together, they're a pattern. And the pattern has a name, and the name is a mineral deficiency that's been building for a long time. Let's move to the numbers, because this is where the myth really falls apart. Prove it. Nocturnal leg cramps, the medical term for the exact scenario we opened with, are estimated to affect roughly half of adults over the age of 60, at least occasionally, and a meaningful share of that group experiences them multiple times per week. That's not a rare complaint. That's a majority-adjacent experience in the aging population, and it's one of the most under-discussed symptoms in geriatric care, because men in particular tend to underreport symptoms they consider minor, and doctors, working with limited appointment time, rarely ask about it directly. Here's the immediate cost of ignoring it. A muscle cramp that wakes someone at 2 or 3 a.m. doesn't just cause pain, it fragments sleep. And fragmented sleep in older adults has a well-documented downstream effect. Increased daytime grogginess, slower reaction time, and immeasurably higher risk of falls the following day. Fall-related injuries are already one of the leading causes of emergency room visits for adults over 65. And older men are statistically more likely than older women to suffer a fatal fall injury, largely because of how falls tend to happen, from a standing height, at speed, without the same protective reflexes. A cramp that costs someone 20 minutes of disrupted sleep at 3 a.m. can directly contribute to the exact kind of daytime instability that ends in a hip fracture. That's the immediate cost. Now here's the compounded one. Magnesium doesn't just regulate muscle relaxation. It's a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic processes in the human body, including the ones that regulate heart rhythm and blood pressure. When magnesium runs low for an extended period, the same off-switch failure that's happening in the calf muscle can happen in the heart. Low magnesium has been consistently linked in research to a higher incidence of irregular heart rhythms, particularly in older men who are already managing cardiovascular risk at a statistically higher rate than women of the same age. It's also linked to insulin resistance, meaning a magnesium shortfall doesn't stay contained to annoying leg cramps. Over years, it can quietly worsen blood sugar control and cardiovascular strain at the same time. Let me put a number on the inaction cost. Because vague risk doesn't move families to act, specifics do. Studies on magnesium status in adults over 65 have found that a significant portion, often cited in the range of half or more, fall below optimal intake levels for their age group, largely due to the combination of reduced dietary intake and increased medication-driven loss I described earlier. That's not a fringe statistic. That's a mainstream, under-addressed gap in aging health, and it's one of the few gaps that's genuinely inexpensive to close, if it's caught. Here's the one-liner I want you to remember. A $10 a month mineral gap is quietly contributing to falls, fatigue, and heart strain that cost families tens of thousands of dollars in downstream care. That's the actual math nobody runs at 2:47 in the morning, rubbing out a calf cramp and going back to sleep. The fix. I'm not here to hand you a supplement bottle and tell you the problem's solved. That's not how this works. And any script that tells you it is lying to you. What I can give you is the structural fix, the system, not the shortcut. Step 1. Build a magnesium-forward plate, not a magnesium-forward pill. Food sources absorb more reliably and come with fewer risks than jumping straight to high-dose supplementation. Leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, almonds, black beans, and whole grains are all meaningfully rich in magnesium. The structural change here isn't eat perfectly. It's making sure at least one magnesium-rich food shows up on the plate at both lunch and dinner, consistently, not occasionally. If your father's plate has been mostly protein and starch for 40 years, this is the easiest lever to pull because it doesn't ask him to eat less, just to add one thing. Step 2. Do a medication review with a pharmacist or physician, specifically asking about magnesium interaction. This is the step families skip most often, and it's the one with the biggest payoff. If your father is on a diuretic, a long-term reflux medication, or a metformin-based diabetes regimen, ask directly, does this affect magnesium levels? That single question, asked once, can redirect an entire care plan. Step 3. Track the pattern, not the incident. One cramp means nothing on its own. A cramp diary, even 3 lines in a notes app, noting frequency, time of night, and any leg symptoms during the day, turns a vague complaint into hard data a doctor can actually act on. "I've been having cramps" gets a shrug. "I've had cramps 4 nights out of the last 10, always in the left calf, always between 2 and 4 a.m., gets a blood panel ordered. Men are far less likely to keep this kind of log voluntarily, which usually means it falls to a spouse or adult child to start it. Step 4, and this is the one I want you to actually hear. Ask specifically for a magnesium level on the next blood panel. Standard senior wellness panels frequently check calcium, potassium, and sodium, but magnesium is often left off unless specifically requested. It has to be asked for by name. Write it down before the appointment if you have to. None of these 4 steps require a diagnosis, a specialist, or a single dollar spent before you even walk into an appointment. They require attention and a willingness to stop calling the cramp nothing. The twist. Now let's talk about the objection I hear in almost every single conversation I have about this. But his doctor already checked his blood and everything came back normal. Here's the uncomfortable truth about that sentence. A normal blood panel and a magnesium check are not automatically the same thing. Magnesium is one of the few minerals that standard basic metabolic panels frequently skip because it's not part of every default lab order. It has to be specifically requested as a serum magnesium test. And even then, it has a known limitation. Only about 1% of the body's total magnesium actually circulates in the bloodstream. The rest is stored in bone and muscle tissue. That means a person can be functionally low on magnesium in the tissues where it actually matters, the heart, the muscles, while their blood test still reads normal, because the body pulls reserves from storage to keep blood levels stable for as long as it possibly can. In other words, by the time a standard blood test shows a magnesium deficiency, the body has often already been running on stored reserves for a long stretch. The blood test isn't lying. It's just measuring the wrong thing at the wrong stage. This is exactly why the symptom pattern, the cramps, the restless legs, the fatigue, matters more than a single normal lab result. The body is telling you something the standard test isn't built to catch early. The second objection. But he's fine, he's just getting older. I want to be blunt with you here because that sentence is doing a lot of work to avoid a harder conversation. Fine and functioning are not the same thing. A father who's cramping 4 nights a week, sleeping worse because of it, and moving a little slower during the day isn't fine. He's compensating. Men, especially men of a certain generation, are often the best in the room at compensating quietly, and the worst in the room at admitting when it's not working. And compensation has a shelf life. It works right up until it doesn't. And the moment it stops working is rarely a gentle one. It's usually a fall. Resolution. So let's go back to 2:47 in the morning. Your father, gripping his calf, waiting for the muscle to let go. What if that moment isn't the end of the story? What if it's the earliest, cheapest, most fixable point in the whole story? A cramp that shows up tonight is infinitely easier to address than the fall, the fatigue, or the heart strain that shows up 2 years from now if the pattern is ignored. The mineral gap behind it isn't exotic, it isn't expensive, it isn't hiding behind some rare diagnosis. It's magnesium, underappreciated, undertested, and quietly essential to the muscle's ability to let go, relax, and reset. You don't need to panic about a cramp. You need to stop dismissing it. And if you know a man who's been waving his off, you need to be the one who stops letting him. Bring it up at the next appointment. Ask for the level by name. Track the pattern instead of shrugging off the incident. That's it. That's the entire first move. Because here's the line I want you to leave with. The body doesn't waste energy sending warnings it doesn't mean. A cramp isn't the injury. It's the invitation to catch the injury before it happens. I'm Dr. Alex John. Pay attention to what your body already knows.